Thank you so much. Our partners at WRI, that was amazing. I feel like this was a 24-hour around the world, and just in that 1 hour, we got a tour around the world. So thank you so much for those inspiring projects and the content that you share, the roadmaps. We're very excited to see this work. I think now we are ready to go across to our next contributors, which are Daikin, who are the newest America's regional network partners. So we're very excited to have them here. And with that, I am going to hand over to Ricardo Rodriguez. Ricardo, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Rodriguez, and today I have the great pleasure to present to you on behalf of Daikin Group on its Latin America division, one of our most new, disruptive, and integrated solution to help our customers and the world to achieve their carbon emissions commitment, or simply to operate in a more sustainable way, which we desperately need to mitigate the climate change. No? So we will be proceeding in the following order. The number one will be presenting a corporate video that will give you an idea of what we're doing in a global scale. The number two is that I have a studio presentation about our servitization program inside Daikin Group and the implementation in the Latin America region. And finally, I'll be addressing your questions about the servitization program live, and this session will be moderated by our background team here in the office. So let's get to it.
Daikin sells products in over 150 countries and has annual sales of $23 billion, making it one of the air conditioning industry's top businesses.
他社に真似できないことをやらないとうちは生き残っていけない。工場を最寄り化して作って、ディストリビューターとか販売店さんに直接売るという形を取ったんですね。
Since being founded in 1924 by Akira Yamada, Daikin has led the air conditioning industry with its innovative products and leads the way towards the future through the Technology and Innovation Center, or TIC, a world-class research facility completed in November 2015. The center is equipped with Japan's first anechoic chamber for testing air conditioners, chemistry labs, and more. It's investigating the use of AI and also taking the lead on environmental issues. One goal is to improve indoor air quality in order to protect and improve people's health. In 2020, COVID-19 has spread across the globe. Lowering the risk of infection is of utmost importance.
より快適な環境を設計できるようなシミュレーションをスーパーコンピューター富岳を使って実用化しようというふうにしております。気流の流れと飛沫とかのシミュレートだけではなくて、人の位置関係もシミュレートするようなことで、マスクのいらないような安全安心な空気環境を設計できるんではないか。
Daikin's research continues, following the concept perfecting the air. Their rapid progress towards that goal is already making a social impact, and that's just the beginning. For this world-leading Japanese brand, there is much more to come.
Perfecting the air, Daikin.
Latin America will stop buying air conditioners. Am I mad? Is it possible that one of the most humid and hot regions in the world stop buying air conditioners? Yes. And we're betting that they will. I'm Ricardo Rodriguez, Business Development Manager for Daikin Latin America Operations, and in the following minutes, I will explain to you why we believe this statement is true. By why would Latin American stop buying air conditioners? Certainly the weather is not getting any cooler. The average world temperature has climbed 0.8 degrees Celsius and it keeps rising. The poles are melting, sea levels are rising, and so is the demand for air conditioning. An estimated of 4.8 billion of new HVAC units will be sold worldwide between 2019 and 2030. And more than that, why is it that a top manufacturer of air conditioning of the world like Daikin, with total sales above $23 billion, more than 100 production bases globally, and products sold in more than 150 countries worldwide, telling us that AC units will no longer be sold? I will jump to the answer right after providing some context to you all. Daikin and the world have realized about an unavoidable truth. Cooling now uses an extraordinary amount of energy. The International Energy Agency says in 30 years, just the electricity needed for the air conditioners alone will equal the total amount of energy used for everything now in Japan, the European Union, and the United States. Currently, the power generated to satisfy the needs of cooling systems more generally is fossil fuel based. In addition, air conditioning also uses superpolluting gases in their normal operation. These gases that make you feel very cool, they can be thousands of times more worse than CO2 when it comes to climate change. So the energy consumption and the GWP gases make cooling one of what some actually say it is the most important sources of emissions and therefore absolutely crucial in our efforts to tackle climate change. Therefore, Daikin has been strongly committed to the reduction of its operations' impact on the environment, summarizing the commitment in an environmental vision for 2050, which includes climate change, which is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, energy demand, which is an increased energy efficiency in order to meet the regulations of governments and our customers, and the atmospheric pollution, increase the need of air quality and well-being. The way we do this is through efficient products and through solutions generated by disruptive business models. Of course, Daikin doesn't want Latin Americans' customers to forget about their comfort needs or vital needs, such as clean air and adequate temperature. So we took in mind two factors that would lead us to a disrupting in the way we do business today. Number one is the customer orientation, with a deep understanding of our customers' needs and challenges. How we live in a world where we don't want to own things, but we want access to them, with increasing complexity of technologies and needing easy access in exchange. Let me now just picture one example where customer centricity and innovation through technology disrupted a whole industry. Apple is probably one of the most customer-centric or customer-obsessed brand in the planet. In 2003, people were buying physical devices for music, such as vinyl or CDs. So Apple launched iTunes Store. Buy your music online and pay per track. 8 years later, digital downloads overtook physical sales in 2011, dominating the market. This was customer centricity and improved experience. But 6 years later, the opposite happened. Physical sales overtook the digital downloads. Why did this happen? And the answer is servitization. So in 2008, Spotify came along and said, if people don't want to own things, why would they want to own CDs? They created music as a service. Spotify's revenue from 2009 to 2016 grew exponentially. American music market went from $4.4 billion to $7 billion. Digital downloads decreased from 2014 to 2017. Physical sales overtook digital downloads 17% to 15%. All the growth in the industry was from streaming services. 2015, Apple launched Apple Music, which is their streaming services, and also launching, of course, music as a service. Apple iTunes selling products was going out of business and was replaced by Apple Music and streaming services, which is now growing exponentially when they sell music as a service. This example only illustrates what has been going on in many industries out there. Netflix disrupting the entertainment market, Uber disrupting the mobility market, Xerox disrupting the market with the managed printed services, Rolls-Royce turning aircraft engine sales into power by the hour service. Also Microsoft migrating to Office 365. That shows you that customers are gravitating towards as-a-service models and we see it in actually every industry around the world. But again, why would we want you to stop buying air conditioners? The answer is simple, because buying an integrated service is much more efficient. When we thought about saying this, we had in mind a very accurate phrase made popular by Richard Buckminster. He said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Daikin has constantly been developing the latest technology in the industry, such as inverter technology, the VRV system, which is developed and patented by Daikin, magnitude magnetic compressor chillers, and the Alterma heat pumps. We also have completed the portfolio of offering of the group with the acquisition of leading solution companies in the Latin America region, such as SAEG and CIFSA, with the strong construction, maintenance, and monitoring capabilities. So we wanted to get closer to find out the customer's real problems and solve them by evenly distributing our developed technology. We came up to our first as-a-service business model in Latin America, where Daikin Group is responsible for all the CapEx and OpEx to run and operate air conditioning systems. For service and maintenance, the repairs, compliance, manpower, absolutely everything. Customers just buy as they use in a subscription basis. We run the model under the name of Comfort Loop. Comfort Loop works in the same way as the internet service. This is one of the best analogies to present the model, as it is very similar in each stage. By signing a contract, the customer agrees to pay a monthly fee for the service, be it internet or water cooling, or water heating, or automation, or space ventilation. During the installation of the modem, a small amount is paid proportional to the labor required. In the same way, when installing the machine room, it must have a unique initial installation cost in relation to the cost of labor force. This will be represented in an initial installation fee. After the equipment is installed in the user's property, ownership of the equipment remains with the company that installed it. A home modem belongs to the internet company, and it is in the company's best interest to take care of it and avoid any failures. The same happens with the chillers, pumps, boilers, automation boards, fans, and other equipment on the Daikin side. From the day the service begins, the customer pays a fixed amount each month for the service they contracted. Speaking of internet, 100 megabytes per second, or speaking about cooling, 500 tons of refrigeration, or the capacity of the installed engineered solution, the company is committed to provide this capacity in exchange for the monthly subscription. Like the internet company, Comfort Loop will take care of all the faults and corrective maintenance that any of the installed equipment may need. Should a chiller need to be replaced, we will take care of it. All spare parts and consumables within the established scope will also be responsibility of Daikin Group. Additional technology will always be installed to have a constant monitoring that will allow Daikin to control the operation and proper use of the system that it owns. It will be possible not only to give corrective and preventive maintenance when necessary, but also to carry out predictive maintenance. The trend of use in the equipment will be known, and any failure will be fixed before it becomes a problem. In this way, Comfort Loop is able to include service guarantees such as equipment availability, response times, spare parts, terms, and more in the contract. Comfort Loop was created to provide a customer-centric service based in the real necessity of our consumers, which is cool environments and providing easy access to the best technologies. Daikin is doing this around the world, and we believe all the panelists joining us here are also probably in the path either of contracting or developing their own as-a-service model. This movement has definitely started to influence our industry. In Japan, ASICS Corporation in 2021 introduced Air as a Service to contribute to their sustainability commitments. They also found benefits in the effect that these fixed assets were no longer in their books, eliminating the risk. It's a 6,000 square meters facility where we propose to retrofit the whole air conditioning equipment as the useful life was in the legal limit. The selection was VRV systems. There are 4 main points to the value proposal to the user: full renewal at a low cost, life extension measures for the air conditioning, energy consumption controlled, and reliability. The customer was absolutely relieved that Air as a Service constantly monitors the operation of air conditioners 24 hours a day, 365 days a year at Daikin's control center. In addition, the big advantage of Air as a Service is that you don't have to prepare for sudden costs, for it takes care of all the management aspects. Where the Air as a Service is introduced, operational improvement is implemented with energy demand controlled function and visualization of the actual condition of the air conditioning. As the customer was required to reduce CO2 emissions, they will be able to reduce electricity expense that leads to reductions in the CO2 emissions. Daikin will also provide suggestions for improvements to achieve their emission commitments. These increased the customer desire for Air as a Service. Hotel Nikko Hoshinoyado in Nikko City in 2019, through the introduction of Air as a Service of Daikin Air Techno, found many added values such as ensuring comfortable indoor environment throughout the year, collective management of air conditioning from the office, and predictable expenses. It's a 3-story building that servitized 21 rooms and hallways. The contract was a monthly subscription during 13 years. Daikin made an air conditioning proposal with a commercial multiple air conditioner suitable for a luxury inn on the desired construction period. Also, by reducing the 21 outdoor rooftop air conditioning units into 5 at the rear of the building. It is now possible to imagine a future where a customer can enjoy the view of Nikko from the rooftop. There are 4 main points to the value proposal to the user: safety, business efficiency, financial stability, and trust. In the new model, all the outdoor units were integrated and monitored 24/7. So if one of the machines fails, the backup equipment remains working. This optimizes capacity and reduces the maintenance costs. In addition, an equipment rotation plan was implemented, in which each equipment rests every 8 hours. This extended the lifetime of the equipment and reduced the energy consumption up to 20%. A 5-star hotel located in San Jose, Costa Rica, required a capacity of 1 million BTU per hour to guarantee the supply of hot water for their operations. The equipment of the hotel had reduced its efficiency, causing continuous corrective actions which impacted both the hotel's operation and maintenance budgets. Due to the pandemic, the hotel had reduced income. However, the change of units was essential. With a servitization model, the hotel found in Daikin SAEC a commercial partner that provided economic relief in this project, improving the efficiency of the current system and transferring the investment to a monthly subscription. Daikin SAEC, through its engineering department, provided support in the redistribution of the powerhouse and is currently in charge of maintaining the system at its optimum level. In Mexico City, an office building with a total cooling capacity of 480 tons of refrigeration needed a retrofit for both of its chillers. The equipment was 20 years old, and its efficiencies had dropped to an estimated of 1.4 kilowatts per ton. Daikin CIFSA offered to retrofit the whole cooling plant through Comfort Loop, our as-a-service model in Latin America. The chillers, pumps, piping, valves, and everything needed was replaced, and completely automated system was installed alongside with an AI-powered monitoring software designed by CIFSA called Pilot. the customer will experience energy savings, forget about CapEx investment, and avoid any additional operation expenses related to the HVAC system, since ComfortLoop will take care of everything. CIFSA is the one to install the equipment, maintaining the ownership required to provide the building's cooling needs through the contract. For this project, we made an investment of around $400,000, generating yearly energy savings to the user for about 37.2% of their regular consumption by updating the technology and adding AI-powered monitoring and operating system. The energy saved during the whole life cycle of the investment is estimated in 435 megawatts hour and 2,770 tons of CO2 emissions avoided. Now, thinking forward and based on the estimations we just saw in the Mexico City ComfortLoop case, around 5.7 tons of CO2 emissions per ton of refrigeration would be avoided during the lifetime of the equipment, which is around 15 years. If we could hypothetically replicate this case under the same initial conditions of poor efficiencies to other 10 buildings of 550 tons of refrigerations each, we could achieve approximately 31,350 tons of CO2 emissions avoided during their lifetime. That is the same amount of CO2 emissions that 1,100 gasoline cars exhaust to the air during their lifetime. As a side note, the estimated figures presented are a result of a calculation of the indirect emissions avoided due to the energy consumption reduction of the HVAC systems. An in-depth analysis would have to be performed to estimate the direct emissions avoided due to the use of more efficient refrigerants. On the other hand, the estimations of the car's direct emissions consider a lifetime of 250,000 kilometers. Customers are flocking towards this business model. Commercial, residential, industrial, offices, shopping malls, data centers, pharmaceutical, all moving towards cooling as a service because it's a better customer experience. We continuously invest in technology, developing the most efficient air conditioning systems, completing the value chain to get closer to the users, integrating the equipment within AI operational systems, learning from each other, and running in the most sustainable way possible. We are ready, and we are getting good at it. The product as a service business model is massively more customer-centric than any other alternative. It will disrupt any industry that it goes into. Let us use it in favor of the environment. Let us use it in favor of everyone. Before we go to our Q&A session, please take a look to the following video. Thank you very much. Technology and innovation are changing every aspect of our lives. The way we live, how we work, where we work, the way we do business, how we sell, how we buy, how we make payments, how we commercialize our products, and how we interact with our customers. From its beginning, in 1924, Daikin has marked the evolution of the world of air conditioning by innovating with products and services. Today, Daikin is transforming the air conditioning business with its Servitization program. Daikin and its Servitization business model allows cooling from one building to an entire complex, optimizing all the operations and services associated with the plant without the customer having to incur in any capital investment. This system consists of a central plant equipped with chillers, pumps, towers, and controls that distribute water to the entire building. With this system, you can save space and money on cooling equipment, reduce and optimize maintenance and operation, protect the environment by reducing carbon emissions by using innovative technologies that reduce electricity consumption between 20 and 35% versus traditional air conditioning systems. Daikin assumes all investment to build a new chilled water plant in the surrounding or in the customer's property. Daikin is 100% responsible for the operation and maintenance of the plant through a professional and a specialized team that monitors and controls the system 24/7. This model assumes the daily operation cost of the plant. The customer does not pay maintenance and repair costs, only subscription fee for the water consumption. Very good. Well, I think you just saw our presentation, and we have some questions about what are the barriers that we are facing nowadays in the market to scale this to bigger proportions. I would say that we have two main barriers in this scalability nowadays. When speaking about servitization models, it's very important to leave aside the traditional ROI analysis, as the customer doesn't incur in any type of investment. This is one of the first barriers that we face when addressing the customers. Comfort Loop is more convenient from a cash flow perspective than buying the system. And this is, of course, if the customer considers all the troubles and the costs that owning the system generates to the customer during the life cycle. This is normally not considered during the ROI analysis. And as you saw in the example of Mexico City, the 37% of savings were only 11% coming from the equipment renewal, but the other 26% came from the efficient operation and AI operation system. So I also like to make this analogy that if you go to the best restaurant in town for brunch and you decide to order some Benedict eggs, for example, would you consider that you're just buying some eggs, or that you're paying for service and experience, a compound of many ingredients, the chef, the service people, the comfortable chair, the pleasant view, etc. So in the same way that you may not consider that you're just buying some eggs in these restaurants, that's the same analogy when you contract the Comfort Loop, because you're not buying an equipment or system, you are receiving a cooling service. And that is the outcome more than the equipment, or that is an outcome that it's generated by equipment and, of course, many service components. And the other one, I would say that besides this mindset when addressing the customer, I would say that the financing is something that we have been proven that it's challenging to obtain in these business models, as it is confused sometimes with other financial models, such as leasing, such as finance sale. So this servitization model does not sell an equipment, it sells the outcome of the equipment. So that has been a little bit challenging for the banks or financial entities to understand and consider this as a viable business for them and a profitable business for them when making loans, or for example, some schemes such as sell and lease back or internal loans. So that would be the two most more important barriers that we're facing nowadays. I would like to go through some of the most common concerns that we are facing now when addressing to customers. And for example, what is the contract duration? We have a minimum of 5-year contracts in the case of the cooling solutions, with the possibility to renew this indefinitely, because we can also structure longer contract periods, of course. Another concern is that what happens if I have certain cooling needs, but during the lapse of the contract, I need, or for some reason, I need to increase that cooling need. So when we design the systems for the customers, we make an assessment about the cooling demands, not only the current demands, but also the future needs of the customer according to their expansion plans. And in this way, we make sure that the capacity installed will be met, the initial demands, and also we can schedule the additional installations during the contract. So if in the case that an additional unplanned capacity is needed, we can explore, of course, addition to the current contract or the contract in place, and or we can also provide some temporary solutions to meet this necessity. Another concern that always comes up from the customers is that what happens when the contract ends, for example. So in this case, we are committed to provide the best service experience, and we of course encourage the customers to renew the service contracts, and even surpassing the lifetime of these systems, because this is the way we can really feel, or we can really make them feel that this is a service. It's not about a finite equipment, but it's about satisfying a permanent cooling need. So nevertheless, after the 5-year term, if the customer proves that the service is being unsatisfactory, the customer can choose not to renew the contract, and we proceed to retrieve the system. Some other concerns is that if the customer if the customer can cancel the contract during the, let's say, during 2 years, in the first 2 years or 3 years, yes, it can be canceled, but of course we will have to charge a penalty, and this penalty is more aligned to this part of the investment that we do inside the customer's property that is non-recoverable. For example, piping, for example, the labor work, for example, the design that we invest in this part. So yes, there is exit clauses. Nevertheless, it's subject to a penalty. Yes. Okay. What would be a favorable policy environment look like scaling up AC servitization? About the policies for environmental, it looks like look for a scaling AC servitization. I would say that Colombia is a good case about the government policies implementing servitization schemes. They have municipalities have developed district coolings, not only for the industrial part or residential, but also residential part. So I would say that more openness or incentives to not only the country government, but the local governments to find opportunities to implement district coolings or servitization. This is a very scalable model, and I believe that the local governments can do many things to impose this program. As I mentioned before, also other concerns about the model is what is the main difference between this servitization model and a lease, for example. So the main difference is that we are committed by contract, as mentioned before, to deliver the outcome of the cooling system. So to deliver this outcome, that in other words, it's the cooling, which is basically a flux of water at a certain temperature, we require to maintain the control all the time of the equipment. So we do this through the IoT and also AI operational systems. So in difference of that, a leasing only provides the customer the use, and the customer can also control these complex systems that are really not easy to operate at its optimum level. So maybe some of the potential savings of these equipments may be lost during the time. So that is a great value added that we find through servitization programs. Another question that also comes up often is that how is this cooling offer or this cooling commitment measured? So the cooled water is basically delivered by contract in a specific point, and that specific point is subject to a meter that measures the flux and also the temperature. So we are committed to deliver an average temperature during the month, and customers can verify this temperature measures anytime they want, and Comfort Loop at the end of every month issues a report to the customer with the information
to back up the compliance of the service guarantee. So what happens, for example, if the actual cooling system fails? So if the cooling system fails or comfort loop fails to deliver the service guarantee, which is this monthly average temperature of the water, let's say 44 Fahrenheit degrees Fahrenheit, the customer doesn't have to pay for the service for that month, for that particular month. So that is basically a penalty for us in order to comply with the service that we offer. So any other question that also comes up from the customers is that who defines, for example, the required capacity? So in that sense, when we address, as mentioned, we address a customer and have some evaluations on the cooling capacity that they need, is basically us and our design company and design and engineering company who makes all these calculations and includes, of course, backup equipment and includes all the necessary equipment that we may need in order to comply with the service that we commit to. There's also questions about if this model can be replicated to the residential level. And yes, the answer is yes. We have a case of implementation of comfort loop in a residential complex in Acapulco, in which we design the contract, we sign a contract with the Association of Owners, which in this case represents a legal entity. So one common factor that I think that is very important among the implemented projects that we have today is the scale. At this point of the model in the region, the scale is very important as we need to have more contracts in place in order to cover some of the risks that comes associated with the contract, and a pool of contracts, a bigger pool, diversifies, of course, the risk of this business as a whole. Nevertheless, at some point, we think it's not so far, there would be also some servitization opportunities or offers out there in the market to be one-to-one solution for households. Nevertheless, this business model now it's more feasible when the scale is larger. And in the case, for example, as Acapulco, we can sign a contract with a legal entity that can be compounded by all the owners inside a building. So some other questions that we also receive is that what is, for example, the projected footprint for this business model in the next 10 years? Of course, I can speak about Latin America region, and we believe that this business model will grow in demand from the customers. And as it grows in demand, we, of course, most likely will incur in those countries where we have a legal entity. So the idea is for Latin America region to be covered by our solutions companies such as CISA and SAIG. Is there any other question? Yes, in the residential level, we haven't had a case about energy management programs to help residents to reduce their energy demand, not so far. Nevertheless, it's something that is very possible, and we can explore together if you have some information about this energy management programs. We have, as I mentioned before, an AI operational system that works with the equipment that is called Pilot. This system constantly learns about the operation of, or the custom of the operation of the equipment. And that way we can identify additional energy savings. So it is very possible. We are very sure that we can find very good opportunities in the energy savings. Yes, we are open to work with those kind of initiatives. Another question, do you have some involvement with academic sectors in terms of link practice with some new theoretical knowledge? I'm not sure if I understand the question, but with the academic sector, yes, we have explored additional savings or opportunities of implementation of comfort loop at some internal events that we have are called Conwakai. So we have contacts with this academia members that constantly provide us of new ideas. The other 2 months ago, I believe we had some sessions with them, finding opportunities not only in Mexico, but also Colombia and Peru and Chile, that they are very happy with this implementation and this business model, and we are working with them. Yes, of course, of course. Thank you very much. That is basically one of our main objectives, is to make this business model more common in the region and scale it. As I mentioned, if the residential part is with a group of owners, or if it's an administration company that, let's say, that holds a whole complex, not only residential but also shopping malls and offices, it's very common for those complex to go to this servitization model, as it is very attractive, relieves them from this investment and all the headache of having to operate the system. Thank you very much, Yvette. Yes. Yes, we are constantly in touch with academia members. Yes, here in Mexico, we have in Chile, also in Colombia, we have very good allies in that matter. Okay, so from our side, I believe that we have been a little bit early on this presentation. I don't know if there is any other question that you may have about this servitization model. One of the things that maybe I didn't mention before is that, and I also saw from the African panelists, is that they don't have in their solutions some related to the wellness and indoor air quality, as we have through our solutions companies such as SAIG and CIFSA implemented indoor air quality solutions with our, of course, with our HEPA filters manufactured by American Air Filter, that is also part of Daikin Group. We have been able, or we are able basically, to also offer better indoor quality through these kind of solutions. We would just have to explore the possibilities with the customer so we can arrive to a common agreement. Another thing that I think is very important to mention is that who else is doing this out there in the market. So nowadays, I believe that we have seen models similar to this one, but not the same. These models or similar models have been promoted, for example, by climate finance companies, control companies, some other contractors, even financial companies. But what I think is very crucial is that actually the supplier that can provide the strongest value proposal has to concentrate the most capabilities of the HVAC value chain in-house. And having all these capabilities in-house allows the provider to make more, or to take more responsibilities through the contract and provide the best value added to the customer. Sometimes when the company offering a servitization model does not own all these capabilities, the price doesn't become so competitive, and normally it is more, let's say, convenient to buy the equipment. Another thing that I also think it's important is that in the Latin America region, there is this belief that well, I think that maybe in other parts of the world it's also like that, but there is many association about the return on the investment of the savings only associated to the equipment, as if when you buy an equipment that is only necessary to be more efficient. But as you saw, and again, mentioning the Mexico case, 26% of those savings come from the operation, the efficient operation, and the AI that we install in the solutions. So there is this custom in the Latin America region to have low expense on the maintenance and operation, but this also drags the problem of the inefficient equipment. And the equipment must be very good operated and appropriately maintained for it to be maintaining those efficiencies that are initially promised when the salespeople approach the customers with an ROI. So we follow up and we make sure that those additional savings actually are part of the package. So another question also common, talking about energy, is that if the energy if the energy cost is inside the fee, and in this case, no. The answer is we don't include the energy cost inside the cooling fee. Nevertheless, that gives the customer the opportunity to really obtain all the benefits of the energy efficiency directly, not passing through us, and then maybe some as the figure of the performance contracts that normally leads to at the end to some disputes. So we do not enter into this commitment. Nevertheless, all the energy efficiency benefits goes directly to the customer pockets. What are the, well, there's another question. What are some of the greatest challenges for the region to overcome in order to achieve net zero? I would say basically that's a very broad question. And I think that from my scope, as I mentioned before, is the mindset. I think we'd have to create more conscience in the customers that they need to be more efficient, and they need to be more oriented to sustainability. And that's something that will come as the climate change effects are being more visible, and people can actually start feeling it through, let's say, higher temperatures, or starting to feel through climate disasters, for example. So I think, and Daikin, through their environmental policy 2050, has been talking about this for some time now. So I think that if the customers start feeling these changes, will start to change their mindset. But that is the most, I believe, the most barrier, the highest barrier in the Latin America market. We still have a lot of commoditization of equipment. We still have a lot of competitors in the market that not specifically the most efficient, but I would say the most cost or the lowest price. So at the end, Latin America region is a lot of, when buying something, it's a lot of thinking about the price instead of thinking about the efficiency and I would say the long run on the efficiency side. So that is basically the most challenge, that I would say, the mindset. So we're struggling to change in that mindset, but as I mentioned, if this mindset, it will change as the customers realize that climate change is real. So we are ready for that, and we are pushing for the customers to adopt the servitization model. Okay, very good. We have any other questions? If you have any other questions that you may want to address to us, we are very welcome for those questions, and we will answer them via email. You can, of course, address to World Green Building Council for them to send us any questions or doubts that you may have.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. That was a great presentation, and we are very happy to continue this conversation, because I think there are others at different parts of the building value chain that are very interested to see, how they can drive further efficiency with the models that they have. And this could be, there's nice opportunities to marry that with the technologies and the servitization options that you guys are providing. So very excited to see this, excited to see your commitment to net zero carbon, to the regional network, and to collaboration with others across the region. Thank you so much for being with us today. And with that, we will slowly move on to our next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.